Casino Royale is Daniel Craig's first James Bond movie that came out 14 years ago. Wow. Before I get into it, I'm going to say this is full of spoilers. All spoilers. I might talk about the whole movie, but you've been warned. If you haven't seen Casino Royale, why not? Why haven't you seen Casino Royale? I remember when this movie came out, and I was 11 years old. I wasn't allowed to see it, to be completely honest. I wasn't. But I also remember I always grew up playing Nightfire. Pierce Brosnan was my James Bond, and they showed Daniel Craig as James Bond. I'm like, who's that guy? Who is that guy? There was so much controversy around it too. People were like, I don't know if we want a blonde James Bond. Oh, he's not going to be good. Daniel Craig, what? He was in Layer Cake. Who is this guy? I'm so glad he proved the naysayers wrong. In my opinion, I think he's the best James Bond. I do think it's a little unfair because he's been given the best and most real material, where it's more true to the character, it's darker, it's more realistic, and that's what Casino Royale is. It's very dark, it's realistic, it's a gritty James Bond movie. It's not over the top, it's not cartoonish, and that's why it's probably my favorite James Bond movie. Actually, it is my favorite James Bond movie. And not only that, I think it's one of the greatest action movies of all time, so let's get into it right now. I love the opening, the black and white. I love it shows Bond's first 2 kills become a 00. The gritty fight in the bathroom, and then he kills the guy at his desk. I love that scene. It's intense, and you already know right off the bat that this movie's going to be gritty. And it's going to be great, and it's going to be awesome. Then you get introduced to Le Chiffre, and I think Le Chiffre is a great Bond villain. I love him because it's not like he could beat James Bond in a one-on-one fight, or even like a gun match, nothing. Even smarts. James Bond seems to outsmart him all the time. Only one time Bond gets outsmarted by him. Actually, I guess twice. But the reason why Le Chiffre is so dangerous is because he's just desperate. He owes so many people money, all these dangerous people, and he's desperate to pay them back. Desperate people are very dangerous. They'll do anything. And then we get probably the best running chase scene, one of the best in cinematic history. The parkour chase scene through the construction zone, and it is unbelievable. This thing never stops. It just keeps going and going. Bond is just going on bulldozers. He's climbing up buildings like they're under construction. They're fighting on cranes. They're jumping off things. I love how the guy he's chasing is doing everything so gracefully, so clean. He's doing like rolls, jumping through little edges, things like that. Bond's just slamming into things. He's running through walls. He's just being Bond. He doesn't really care. Unreal chase scene still holds up today. Everything's practical, wide shots, all of it. Flawless, fantastic. Then the movie slows down a little bit, but not in a bad way. It's really Bond going to the Bahamas, trying to get more clues, figure things out, with this whole plot to bomb this airplane so that airplane stocks go down and Le Chiffre wins a lot of money. And it's great because you just see the smoothness of Daniel Craig being James Bond. It's perfect. It's so James Bond. It's spot on. It's great. I love the scene where the guy bets his car and James Bond wins it, and he's like, oh, and the valet? And it's great. The whole Miami airport sequence is great. It's long. That's what I love about these action sequences. They never stop. It's long. It's fleshed out. It's great. More and more things just keep happening. And everything feels so grounded and realistic. It feels nothing is too over the top. Then we get introduced to Eva Green as Vesper. My opinion, my favorite Bond girl ever. I just think she's very intelligent. She keeps up with Bond with all his quips and his dialogue and everything. She keeps up with him. She kind of plays games with him too. She's very smart. She's an accountant. She kind of has a dark side to her. We'll get into that later, but she does, by far, one of the most interesting Bond girls. Then we get to the poker sequences. Now, I remember when I was a kid and I finally got to this movie, I always thought these sequences were really boring. But as an adult, they might be the most interesting parts of the whole entire movie. Once you learn how to play poker, each scene is so intense. There's so much riding on the line. If they lose, they finance terrorism. And in between these poker sequences, there's always something exciting happening. The first thing we see is Bond fighting those guys at the stairwell. And then we see him kill the guy in front of Vesper, and she kind of has a meltdown. She goes in the shower, and Bond goes in the shower too. And it's a great scene. I actually read somewhere that Daniel Craig and Eva Green were supposed to be basically naked in the shower, but Daniel Craig felt like it'd be more emotionally powerful if they kept their clothes on, and it is true. It feels like a very powerful moment right there. The poker sequences are great, like I said. He loses on purpose. You get his tell, then he loses for real, and he's not gonna get the money. Then we get introduced to another cool character. It's Bernard from Westworld. He's only in it for like 2 seconds, but I heard No Time to Die, he plays a very big role. He also plays a role in Quantum of Solace. That's a different review. He gives Bond the CIA money because he knows Bond can win. He's the only one that believes that Bond can still win, even though he lost all the money. And then Bond wins on a straight flush. Honestly, unbelievable. Every time I watch that scene, I get chills, and I always am so nervous. I'm on the edge of my seat, and I love how he tips the dealer $500,000. It's so great. Just gives him the chip. Amazing. Then they get kidnapped, and it is the scene of the movie that is talked about probably the most. It is the torture scene. My God. This shit is so hard to watch. Bond's balls are just getting busted in. He's about to lose his dick. It is some hard stuff to watch if you're a guy. It's ugh. But it is funny though, and he's like, to the right. He's like, oh, the whole world's gonna know you died scratching my balls, which actually happens. He gets killed immediately, and you're like, what, is the movie over? But no, there's still a lot of movie left. The movie really slows down now with Bond and Vesper basically living together. They're in love, and it's good stuff. It doesn't go so long that ruins the movie or even slows down the movie that much. It slows it down a little bit, but it's kind of needed from all the intense stuff before. But then you learn that Vesper is giving the money to other people, kind of because she bargained for Bond's life in the night where he was getting his balls destroyed. Yeah, she kind of has a shady side to herself, but she was trying to save Bond. But Bond doesn't like that at all. So he goes to get the money back. That sequence is great too. Like I said, the action's awesome. I love when the nail gun comes out and he's just ripping the nails out of his back. But then Vesper dies. It's really sad. I love how he's trying to bring her back to life, and it cuts to him. It's Daniel Craig's great acting. He looks so angry. He doesn't know what to do. And he normally can just fight his way out of everything, kill everything he wants, and just do that. But then he just looks at her body, realizes he lost her, and there's nothing he can do with his strength or anything, or his intelligence, nothing. And he just breaks down and starts crying. I thought it was great. Great acting by Daniel Craig and great writing too. And Bond goes back to MI6, and he gets a lead to Mr. White, who has the money now. And the ending of this movie is one of my favorite endings of all time. I love when he shoots him in the knee. He's crawling up to the stairs, and just a shot on Bond's shoes, and it just slowly pans up to him, and he's got that big-ass gun. The music's playing in the background, and he says the famous line.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
And it cuts to black. Love that ending. Perfect ending for this movie. It's absolutely flawless for that reason. God, I could have talked about this movie for a lot longer. This is one of my favorite movies ever. It's one of my favorite action movies ever. I love James Bond's character, and this is, in my opinion, the first movie that does straight justice to it. It's true to the novels, and it's true to its character. It's gritty, it's real, and it's so entertaining. All the action sequences are great. The story is flawless, and there's some great characters, and they set up great things for upcoming sequels. Now, granted, only one of the other sequels has been good, but the first movie, so good. It's my favorite James Bond movie. It's one of my favorite action movies of all time. And Casino Royale obviously gets a 10 out of 10.
It's over! It's over!
God, it was a lot of fun watching this movie. Honestly, rewatching it, it's even better than I remembered. But now I gotta watch Quantum of Solace. Maybe I'll like it better than what I remembered, but I even remember watching Quantum of Solace as a kid and being like, So, Casino Royale, you've definitely seen it. Let me know what you guys rank it as one of your Bond movies. I'm curious to know if it's your number one or at least top three. It probably is. I would be surprised if it wasn't. Thank you guys so much for watching. Click here to see more of Dave's Takes.